something to say to you.
Hello, everybody. This is Chaz, the COO of Z Magazine, and welcome to our editorial section. Our topic for this editorial is going to be why do people who have expectations of others do not have those same expectations of themselves? And this is my buddy. This is my coffee cup. This is my road dog. His name is Buddy. We have been through so much together. I mean, look at this. You see all this abuse? This is just, look, he has been through so much. He and I, we have weathered many storms. And he has been there for me through thick and thin, literally just hanging in there. That's what I'm talking about. Give me some pow. Okay, he have his 5 seconds of fame and fortune. Now it's back down to the main aura. Well, this particular topic came about. Um, I was just thinking about different things. I like to think. I'm a real deep thinker, and so I was thinking about, well, let's do something that's less political and more, real life issues. So this particular topic came about. Um, One of the things that I noticed, like a lot of the times in corporate America and in businesses, period, a lot of people who seem to be an authority figure, people who may be really popular, but they're popular because they're mean and they're bullies, or because they family may have money, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like a lot of those type people, from based on my own experience and what I have been exposed to, seem to be like that. They expect people to do things that they don't expect themselves to do, or they're not willing to do themselves for other. Proven point. Okay, you have employers, especially with corporate America. They always say, um, be patient with the customers. Do things this way, do this that way. You know, um, don't be don't stay within your call time, but don't try to be rushy with the customers. But then if you can't, if you do that and you go over the average handling time, they'll penalize you for it. So I'm like, okay, first you're telling me to be patient with the customer and you said try to keep it within the average handling time. But because I wasn't able to, not because of me, but because it was an issue that just could not be resolved in that that 5 to 7 minute average handling time frame, you want to penalize me for it. So you have employers that do stuff like that, or they don't talk to their employees, they talk at them. um, they don't exercise their same rules and regulations for themselves and principles for them, or even principles. For instance, I've seen a situation on a previous job where the employer wanted had set these expectations of us as the employees. However, the employer did not know how to communicate effectively with people. The employer was very biased and very self-centered. Uh, Felt that we had to bow down to him because of his position and his title, and he did not treat us like we were employees and real people. He treated us like we were slaves and like we were obligated to do things. Yes, you're obligated to do your job, and that's it. I'm not obligated to kiss your butt, though. And so he had that kind of mentality, and and he exercised it all the time. He was always like that every day. And so it just got to the point where I just decided I was going to move on, because two things would have happened anyway. I would end up getting fired or arrested, because I'm not going to have somebody get in my face. And that's another thing that he attempted to do to me one time, and I had to literally call the police on him. And that's when I just decided to quit, because it had gotten out of hand. Where he came, he reared up at me and put his hand directly in my face, like this, and said, "You're going to do what I tell you to do." And what he was asking me to do was not something that I needed to do. It was something that was it was beyond deceptive. And I just was flat out refusing to do it. I wasn't going to go out there and tell that customer that big fat lie because he messed up the money. He didn't do what he was supposed to do with the customer's payment, and the customer paid for a service that she was not receiving, and she just came down because after trying to call and call, she wasn't getting any positive results. So she just popped up out of the blue one day, and he expected me to go out there and do this big lie, and I just flat out refused to do it because I'm like, you created this problem, you're going to solve it. And so you have employers that do stuff like that. They expect their employees to do things that they're not willing to do themselves. Um, Another thing is, even if so-called friendships, if you have people in your circle who gravitate to gossip, they gravitate to drama, they love commotion, and they love to watch people engage in fights, and they like to egg stuff like that on, you need to get rid of those kind of people. Those are troublemakers. Those are dream crushers. Those are the type of people who would sell you out. In other words, anything that you do have done in your past, they're going to tell it all. Like if you become rich and famous, look at television. You see it all the time. It's it'd be an ex-boyfriend or ex-friend. The tabloids. Well, we're going to pay you X amount of money for you to tell on your friend and blah blah blah. And they do it. They lie. They'll lie or they'll fabricate something, whatever. They'll tell on their friend. Um, sell them out. So if you're dealing with somebody who is like that, you see somebody who's really grimy and they always have something negative to say about everything and everybody. It's like they always bashing other people's dream. Anytime somebody rap or they hear somebody sing or they see somebody's painting or they see somebody driving a certain car, they always just have something negative to say about it. Get yourself away from those kind of people. Those kind of people are spiritual polluters. They will pollute you and they will have you so messed up. You wouldn't even, and the thing about it, it happens so fast that you don't even realize it. It's like you don't realize it until some years later. It's like you catch that kind of stuff like several years later because you'll start finding yourself thinking like that and acting like that. And people are telling you, look, you're changing. Something's different about you, but you can't see it because you've been so used to being up under that kind of mess that it's almost like it's second nature to you. And that's a real bad second nature to have. For me, if I had to have a second nature, that's not it. I don't want any part of it, period, none whatsoever. Another group of people that does a lot of conflicting things and expect things from others that they don't expect for themselves. And I know a lot of people, I may get a lot of hate comments on this one, are parents. A lot of parents expect their children to do things that they're not willing to do themselves. Say, for instance, I've seen this happen so many times where a parent will be sitting down and the remote control may be on the chair across the seat, over across the living room. The child is outside playing, or the child is upstairs in his or her bedroom, and the parent will actually call the child out their bedroom or from wherever it is that they're doing just to go in for the child to go get the remote off that chair and give it to them. I'm like, are you serious? That's just beyond lazy and that's very abuse of authority. That is flat out abuse of authority and power. When you have parents that tell a child, you do as I say, you don't do as I do, that's also abuse of authority and power, and it's very ignorant. That's a very ignorant, stupid, and actually that's like a slavery mentality to have. A lot of people don't realize that, but it is. It's a form of slavery mentality because you, as the parent, we're obligated to set examples for our children. That is our mandatory responsibility and obligation. That's not for anybody else. Teachers, neighbors, grandparents, family, period. It first boils down to us. We're the ones that the child lived with, and we're the ones that had the child. We're the one that gave birth to the child. So it's our primary responsibility, not to anybody else. We would like for other people to, of course, enforce it, but they're not obligated to do that. And if they choose not to do that, then just don't have your child hanging around them. You, as a parent, you can't curse like a sailor and drink like a sailor as well, and engage yourself in all kind of illegal and inappropriate activities and explicit activities in front of your child and not expect for your child to do that. How are you going to discipline your child for cursing when they hear you curse all the time? How are you going to discipline your child for stealing if their child, see you stealing all the time, or hear you bragging about the fact that you used to steal all the time or that you do steal all the time? Why are you going to whip your child or put your child under punishment for something like that when you're the one that has opened that door wide open and allow your child to be exposed to that? Now, if your child get that from outside sources, then it's up to you as the parent to try to break that off and not allow your child to hang around people who are doing that. You can't control who they see in the streets, and when you go on shopping and even in the school systems to a degree, but in your own home, and as far as having them to go over certain people's homes who may engage in inappropriate activities or in ways that is unfruitful for your child, you can't control that. So the bottom line, parents, it's up to us, and that's a weak excuse, and it teaches the child to not be accountable. When a child sees and hear us as parents not being accountable for our inappropriate actions, we can't expect them to, and they're not going to learn to do that. So when they get older, they're going to end up rebelling to authority a whole lot because they're not used to being held accountable, and they would take everything offensively because they thinking everybody's criticizing them when they're giving them constructive criticism or they're giving them wisdom and instructions on how to do things the proper way or a better way. They're going to take it personal and take it to defense. So uh, I mean, take it offensively because the parent did not set that proper example for them and teach them how to be accountable for their actions and did not teach them proper principles. So, parents, we have to do that. That's not the child's responsibility, and you can't say, well, um, I can't do that, and I can't say that because guess what? I'm still the adult. You may still be the adult, but guess what? That child did not actually be born. When you had that child, whether it was intentionally or not. If you're having unprotected sex and you end up having a child, creating a child from having unprotected sex, then guess what? It is not that child's. Either way, it's not the child's responsibility or problem. It is your responsibility as the parent, and no parent should ever put that kind of obligation on the child or put that kind of burden or responsibility on the child. How dare a parent do that? That is a weak, cowardly parent that would actually do that to their child, is hold their child accountable for something like that. I mean, how disrespectful can you get? But I had two situations where one was a person that I had been friends with for, since I was a teen. And, we lost contact with each other for maybe about 10 to 12 years. But when we saw each other again, we met back up. It was just like old times. I mean, it's like we hadn't even been away from each other all that time. And we linked back up and started hanging back out and blah, blah, blah. When I first came back, I moved back here to Georgia to the A. And when I did, I was going through some things. But as God started blessing me, get up on my feet, and I started getting work because I used to be a full figure lingerie model, intimate apparel model. And when I started getting those kind of jobs and, started getting back up on my feet, the person she did a 360-degree change on me and just, dogged me out. But I still love her. I don't have no hate in my heart. I just didn't understand what provoked her to do that. And I start, questioning myself and just trying to backtrack on everything that we possibly have said, what I possibly had said, conversations we've had, anything that I could have possibly did to provoke it or to instigate it. And when I did, I realized I didn't do anything for whatever it was. It wasn't until I started getting these modeling jobs, that her personality changed towards me because she models too. So and she wasn't getting work, and I guess that's what it was. But bury the hatchet. It is what it is. The second situation is before I moved here. Me, this person had been best friends for like 45 years, and I used to keep her daughter for her.
Even as a child, I knew that I was sin with a recipe.